The basic types of income for Covered California. Hello, I'm Kevin Knaus with InsureMeKevin.com. And the Covered California income section is probably the most complicated and trickiest part of the application. So you really need to take your time and check all the numbers and all the dates. Now, when it comes to income, there are three basic types of income that can impact your subsidies and whether you qualify for Medi-Cal or some other program. And that's what I wanted to go over with you today. The first income entry type is the annual income. And this is kind of nice for people who have fluctuating incomes or they're receiving maybe dividends or capital gains on a regular basis, but it's kind of sporadic, but they kind of know what that income is going to be for the year. So, because it's always been $10,000 or $15,000. So you can just plug in that total number and call it annual, and then the Covered California system will chop that up into 12 equal increments if you are entering this for the year beginning in January, and that smooths out the income. So you always have income from that particular source in every month. That way you don't have to always go back in and, oh, I got, $1,000 or $2,000, but the next month you don't. So it just kind of smooths it out and it makes it very nice. With the annual income entry, it will roll over to the next year. So you may want to make a change if it kind of goes down or goes up during the open enrollment period, the renewal process, but otherwise it will roll over. The next income entry is the lump sum distribution, one-time lump sum. And that can occur from, maybe the sale of an asset, some stocks, a house, vacation pay that comes in. You know that it is not going to happen again in the future. It is just a one-time lump sum distribution. But you want to include it on your Covered California application to increase your annual income to reduce the subsidies. That way you won't have to repay a bunch of excess subsidy at the end of the year. So in this example, this individual received $4,000 in vacation pay just in the month of May, and they put it in there and it's all good. It spikes the monthly income, but it won't, roll over into the next year. Now, the income type I call recurring income is most often used for wages, people who have jobs. And of course, you can characterize that income. You may be paid monthly or bi-monthly. And the Covered California system that totals it all up and gives you a monthly total. And you have a start date. And if there's no end date, it'll just continue running on. So in this particular example, the recurring income is $1,500 bi-monthly paid from the employment starting in July. So from July through December, the individual is credited with $3,000 towards their annual income amount. Now, with the recurring income, if you stop it in the middle of the month, maybe you've gotten a raise or you've left a job and you're going to be starting another one. When you stop it, let's say October 2nd, the system will credit you for $200 because that income ended in the next month, but only for 2 days. A little odd, but that's where you really need to pay particular attention, because if you say that your next income starts in November, you may be under the threshold and eligible for Medi-Cal. So you have to really pay close attention to your monthly income in those situations when you are ending a recurring income stream. So if we put all of these together, we can see that that annual income of $12,000 evenly spread out across the 12 months, that one-time lump sum distribution in May of $4,000, and then that employment income, the recurring income beginning in July and going through the end of the year, for a total of $34,000 for this individual in this particular household. Now, in the renewal, when it goes to the next year, the system will only show $3,000 as annual income because that one-time lump sum distribution did not roll over. It's just one time. So those are kind of the things you really need to focus on, because the Covered California system screens for Medi-Cal in the month that you are making the change, which they call the current month. So when you make that change, the current month income may look odd, especially if you are increasing your income to begin the next month. It'll look low, but you should be okay as long as your number is above the Medi-Cal threshold for you and any dependents. So it is a little bit complicated. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you may leave them down below. I will do my best to answer them. Otherwise, for InsureMeKevin.com, I'm Kevin Knaus.